Hello, everyone. We are live here on the Monster Report, live on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a great panel of guests here. We've got count them, four kaiju artists. So far in the green room, I've only got three, but I'm sure we'll have four joining us total. Before we get those guys in here, just letting everyone know the Monster Report's a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. Your host, Nick Adam Poling here. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, and also join us in the chat. And we'll be glad to answer some questions that you might have for our guests, and just maybe some comments that you might have, some ideas. We're open to whatever, so just keep it family friendly if you wouldn't mind. So with all that out of the way, we're going to bring in our guests. We've got Mr. Nick Shev. How you doing, Nick?
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me.
It's going to be interesting because we've got the two Nicks. We've got John Bellotti, Robo7.
What's up?
And we've got the Dopepope himself joining us. How you doing, man?
What's up?
All right. Well, I'm just glad to have you all here. We've got New York and California represented here, right?
Yeah. We'll seem to have an even balance of New York and California balanced, so.
Well, you're technically New Jersey, Nick. I still consider you a New Jersey native.
Yeah, but where am I filing my taxes this year? Come on.
But your heart belongs in a Garden State.
Yeah, it does. In a landfill.
Nick, were you born there?
What, in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I probably knew that, but it's been a while.
And
There he is.
There he is.
Sorry.
yeah, better late than never, but Lenny Romero's here with us. How you doing, man?
Good. What's up, Nick?
Doing all right. So glad to have you all here, and we're going to be talking obviously we're going to talk some art, talk about kind of the differences in the kind of art you guys have. I wanted to bring you on especially because, as Nick, Shev, and I were talking before we went on, it's like there's only so many artists that kind of do get all the interviews, kind of the big three. I wanted to bring on the guys that I kind of follow online and really appreciate your guys' art. And it's vastly different, but we also kind of come together because we all have a love of kaiju, monsters in general. And that's why I wanted to bring you on for kind of a roundtable discussion. And it's going to be mostly me listening because you guys all know each other. And I know some of you guys somewhat and through G-Fest and groups online, but I kind of wanted to hear from you guys about kind of your art, your canvas, what you use to put that out. And I also want you guys to plug away where people can find your information, your art, and purchase it, where you might be doing shows, all of that kind of stuff. Lenny, with you being last but not least, I'm going to maybe lean on you a little bit. So what site can I maybe show off to everyone, if you wouldn't mind? I'm going to bring up the tab and show that off. But where can we find you?
At Lensations on Instagram.
Lensations on Instagram. I'll bring that up.
Yes.
And talk about your art.
My art. So I keep it simple. I am a hand-drawn pencil and pen artist that does a lot of creatures and monsters. And now anime, because that seems to be the most popular stuff that people buy from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up there. I'm going to share my screen and see if I can't make this work. So there's Lensations on Instagram. Follow him. And we've got, hand-drawn art. So pencil to paper?
Yeah. Bristol paper, and it's usually just a regular mechanical pencil or a pen. And it varies.
Yeah.
As you can see.
Yeah.
A lot of the 11x17 work will be pencil. There's no specific reason why. I just do like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, there isn't really a lot to say. I keep it really easy for myself. If I could just pick up the pencil and pen and the paper, I could just go.
Is this?
And that's how I rock and roll.
What's in the upper left corner? Is that on some sort of like parchment paper?
The top left one? That's actually I got a tattoo machine. I tried tattooing on Pitskin.
Pigskin.
I wanted to see if I could tattoo.
Cool. How did that work out?
For the most part, I don't think I'm liking it too much, actually. I might need to practice it a bit more, but I do definitely need to practice it a bit more if I want to actually try tattooing, but it's not making me want to come back to it.
Gotcha. Well, you got to start. You practice on the pig skin. Too bad for the pig, right?
Yes. Oh, I felt.
Yeah, we got Chris Olio in the chat. Always likes to watch the show. Saying hey to everyone.
What up, Chris?
Got some more New York in there, so let's switch over to Dopepope. I've got the Art Station. Tell me a little about how your art works, your canvas, how you choose to do your art.
It's funny. I was thinking as soon as he said he draws on paper, Lenny.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time I drew on paper that anything worth showing,
Oh,
other than a scribble. I just quickly scribble on paper to get a basic idea.
I'm pretty sure it looks great.
I go right into digital sculpting, and then that's where that's where I come up with like what you would consider a sketch. I consider my sketching in digital sculpture. So if I'm drawing on paper, and I come from an illustration background, I used to draw all the time, and it's weird how I just don't want to do it anymore. I just never really felt that comfortable doing it, even though I wasn't terrible. But I mean, I could, if I really, really busted ass, I could do something along the lines of what Lenny does. I've done that in the past, and it's fun when you get that result. But it seems like Lenny's like just a machine. What he can do in such a short amount of time is mind blowing. Because it would take me like 6 months to do what he does in 2 weeks. But that's that's chalk that up to persistence and practice and just skill. But anyway, yeah, my artwork is all digital sculpture. That's why everything in there is just, there's no drawings. It's just sculptures on there.
Just sculptures, but they're beautiful.
They are beautiful. And I was going to ask, what is the kind of software, what are the tools of the trade that you use to put this together?
ZBrush is what I use to sculpt. Maybe I'll get some renders done in Keyshot, which is basically what I've been using for the past couple of years now. When I first started, I didn't know Keyshot, so I was just doing everything in ZBrush, the renders too. But now I use Keyshot a lot more often. I got the hang of it.
Okay.
I don't know if people who follow digital sculpting, ZBrush just got bought out by Maxon, which is very, very worrisome to me. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet. So far, it's so new. You ever rely on a software that you use all the time, and then there's a giant shakeup in the company, and you don't know where you stand with it. You don't know if they're gonna start charging double or triple for it, and that's kind of where I am right now. Like if they change it up too much, it really would affect my artwork, and it's interesting to think that something like that can affect your actual artwork output, and it's a little worrisome.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. I was actually just talking to Chris Elseth from Last Bastion yesterday on the stream, and he's a big fan of the ZBrush as well. And
he must be worried about something or other. Most people are worried about the jacking up of the price, which that's pretty standard, and it's probably inevitable.
Yeah.
But, well, you do what you got to do.
Well, yeah, that's same thing with like Final Cut, and when I do video editing, a lot of people still like to use like old version Final Cut 7 just because that's what they grew up with. That's how they used it, and it's been around forever. Now we're on Final Cut X, and everything looks a little different. But so with that ZBrush, I mean, just being able to get all of that shadowing that you're doing there, getting that 3D look to everything, it is just beautiful. So. Yeah, that is awesome. And so you can find you at the artstation.com/Dopepope.
Yeah, Dopepope.artstation.com or artstation.dopepope. Whatever. It'll come up.
Gotcha. And then Lensations, I know that again, it was the Lensations on Instagram. Is there anywhere else they can find your art to purchase?
It's Etsy. Etsy. Just search
Okay.
Lensations too. Same thing.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
and I Robo 7, let's get you in, and I just got your link for the DeviantArt here, and I know you're also on Etsy. Here we
Right.
go.
I had no idea you were still on DeviantArt, John. I know a lot of people like jump ship from that site.
Oh, it's terrible. Like I have not gotten any commission work from it, but I just like the way it showcases my work, so I just keep uploading it to it.
You still put work up there?
Yeah, just because I like the gallery settings. I haven't updated my website since like 2020, which is a really bad excuse, but yeah, I just keep putting it on here.
And we've talked to you about kind of the interest that you have doing not just kaiju, but there's Mad Max, Aliens. We even got the not box art, but the shipping art. What do you call it? The label art for Ragnar there, and
Yeah,
which I got Last Bastion again, and Seismic. Getting Megadon and Gojira in there, which is awesome. And so I know you're very much an illustrator. And what are some of the other tools of the trade?
in terms of what I use to illustrate, I mean, it's
Yeah.
the majority of the work is Adobe Illustrator. And anyone that knows me and knows I use Illustrator all sort of put their hand on my shoulder and say, you poor SOB, like, why are you doing that to yourself? Because it's not meant for illustration. I just did it. I was just messing around with it, and I kind of liked the way it looked. And the great thing about it's a vector-based artwork program, which means that you could scale it up as big as you want or as small as you want, and it won't pixelate. Where Photoshop, and Procreate is basically all pixel-based. So as you know, Nick and Lenny and Joe know. Well, I don't know, Lenny, if you dabble with it much, but if you scale it up, it blurs. And so
Right.
when you're trying to do prints, it's like if you forget to set your resolution at a certain number and then you make a print, you're going to be in a world of disappointment. And funny enough, I learned that the hard way because my first submission to GFan magazine was way back in 2008, and I did like a Gamera versus Godzilla pinup. It was like a 17 by 11, and I didn't realize I didn't save a high enough resolution JPEG. So when he printed it, I guess he didn't bother to tell me that it was all blurry. So I open up the magazine and I'm really excited to see my first ever centerfold that he made sure to let me know. And it was just blurry. And I just said, oh, all right, I guess I'm not going to tell anybody about this one. So, that's on me. And that was a hard lesson to learn. So
You stick with a vector based after that because of that reason.
yeah, well, it was a vector-based illustration, but I just didn't save it at a high enough resolution because I wasn't familiar with it yet.
Right.
But now I'm kind of getting it really into Procreate, thanks to guys like Nick and Gino who've sort of told me about the program, and I use it a lot in my drawing. And I do a lot of stuff in Photoshop now because I'm kind of like getting to a point with vector stuff where I'm just getting a little bored, and I need new ways of doing stuff. So like my movie posters, I always kind of wanted more of a painted look, and I could do it in Illustrator, like my Mad Max Fury Road painting, but I can't even open the damn file anymore because it's so big. So with Photoshop, I can just open it and put as many brushstrokes as I want, and it doesn't take 45 minutes to save the damn file. So
Right.
I've kind of shifted more towards Photoshop for like human stuff, and I'm sort of on the fence if I want to continue with Illustrator for more kaiju stuff because I haven't done a kaiju poster since Destroy All Monsters. That was kind of my swan song with kaiju posters for a little bit.
I was going
well,
to mention something about that Destroy All Monsters poster when you were talking about how your color choices for all the different kaiju. And I was playing for my kids the vinyl album of the best of. And then I was looking at
Nice.
how they tried to do the different color selections to differentiate the kaijus. And I was like, oh, Godzilla's just, I know this is one we just are familiar with, but I was like, I like what John did better, sticking with him being green because
yeah, I know it's the obvious choice, but I was like, I have like 4 charcoal colored monsters. I have one that's like sort of reddish brown. There's a blue one. There's a gold one. I just had to sort of go from there. Minya's purple just because I needed purple in there.
right.
But So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence if I want to do painted kaiju stuff, and I know people sort of love that stuff, and I do pencil work as well. I mean, I started as a traditional artist, and I have no problem doing that. Me, Lenny, and Nick just did these licensed Ultraman sketch cards, which were great and a lot of fun, but definitely it was a little. For Lenny, I'm sure for you it was like nothing because you draw all the time, right? I'm sure you whip those things out in 20 minutes. Yeah, I took way too long, and the cost to like how much we were getting for them just weren't like. I was like, nah, this is taking too long for what they're paying me. But the next series I just did straight up pencil, and I sort of did some smudging techniques, and didn't take as long. It was a lot nicer. So
Lenny's got the downside of not having the undo key.
Yeah. I'll tell you that there were a couple of times I'm working on those sketch cards. I'm just like out of habit going for that Control Z. It's like, oh wait, no, I have to get an eraser. I got to do this.
Physically,
you know what I did? Do you know what I did when I was drawing like a pencil? I was pressing my lead pencil because on the you know what I'm talking about. You press a button on the Wacom tablet pen and it undoes something, and I was like this. I was like, oh man, I gotta use an eraser.
Do you guys go like this to try to zoom in to the image?
I did do that, but I do like the Phantom Control Z sometimes.
Before we get to you, Nick, Kaiju Live, probably AJ there.
What's up,
AJ?
More East Coast.
Yeah, that's right.
Strong Island.
Yeah. So we've got Nick. I'm going to get your screen, your site up.
Pull up my Instagram. My site is just like my prints and stuff. The Instagram, I think, is a better one.
Yeah, let's bring that up.
Plus, I just posted those Ultraman sketch cards, so that'll be on full display.
Yes. The big, what was it called? Big Cartel, right? That one?
Yeah, that was the other one, the nickshev.bigcartel.com.
Gotcha.
That's for me selling my wares.
Your cartel is so big.
There we go.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. There's my shop. You get some stickers.
You got holographic Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla, glow in the dark Godzilla.
Is that the one that like shines when you move it around?
The Mecha Godzilla one, yeah, it's like a super metallic reflective one, but the glow in the dark ones are nice. Yeah, like they really glow either in black light or just in the dark.
Yeah. And you didn't have these at the last G Fest you were at, did you?
No, because I haven't been to. I was talking to Nick Adam about this, but I haven't been to G Fest since 2018 because I didn't go to the 2019 one because they were threatening us with 33% and all that, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
So then I mean, because if I saw these stickers at your table, I would have bought them on the spot. So now I guess I have to go to Big Cartel to buy them, right? Is that
you got to go there. Yeah.
Yep.
I got them already.
I'm already going to get that.
Which I'm really bummed about. I want to bring these stickers because I feel like selling these stickers at G-Fest would like pay for my flight and hotel, like just those stickers. Because people are nuts for stickers.
The stickers are great.
Yes, they are.
What's the size of these stickers?
They're about like 4x5. Actually, hold on a second. I got some on a water bottle here. So there's the Mecha Godzilla one. Oh wait, there we go.
Nice.
There's my hand, kind of for scale. And then there's the Godzilla and Hedorah. So like they're good, big size stickers.
Very cool.
What's your price point on those, Nick?
$5 a sticker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For that size. That's
when it comes to stickers, you can't really go too hot.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing like sets.
Yeah.
Nick, you must have heard me say you wanted that 50. I wanted that 54, and then you upped the price to 20 there. Right there.
Oh, this one, yeah. The stickers are $5, but bigger stuff, that'll change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love that 54. That's a cool look there.
Thanks. Actually, I did that originally as pull up my IG because I have that 54 as like an animated piece.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Because in Procreate they recently added like an animation function, which is very tedious to work with, but super fun when you get the results.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm still looking it up.
Oh, sure.
No worries.
As you can see some of my stuff. I don't know. I can talk about my mediums. I'm a mix. There's some
Yes.
things where I do, hand drawn for inking, and then I'll scan that and I color it in either Photoshop or Procreate. Or there's things like that 54, which is entirely digital, which was all just done in Procreate. It's really like what style, what aesthetic I'm looking for, what brushes I have that I think will work best.
There we go.
Oh yeah, and then all the Ultraman sketch cards, which John brought up before.
Very cool.
Those were super fun to do and really fun to go back to traditional ways.
You got your singular point in there.
Ah, yes. Oh, there we go. There's the 54. And I
Yeah,
think
there we go.
if you click on that, it should open up.
Oh, I guess I need to log in. I don't actually.
Yeah.
Oh, boo.
Instagram's annoying like that.
Anyway, that thing was fun because I did this whole thing with the Procreate animation where, like, it's a static image, but his tail swipes over, and then his dorsal plates light up, and then his heat ray comes out, and then there's a bit of an explosion. It's pretty fun.
Cool. Okay, so what's kind of your tools of the trade here? Let me bring up those stickers while you're talking about that.
Oh, sure. Well, like I was saying to the other guys, like, it's a mix of things. It depends on what I want to do. If there's something where I want to have a lot of like small intricate details, I will generally sketch it digitally. Oh, there you go, Lenny. Thanks. That works. Lenny helping us out.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, with this stuff, I'll sketch it out digitally. Then I will print that out on Bristol paper at like a 10% opacity. Then I'll ink on top of that, scan that ink, and then color that in either Photoshop or Procreate. But if there's some pieces like my King Kong Escapes or those Gameras or the Godzilla versus Orga, where I really wanted more of like a pop graphic element, those are done entirely in Procreate, just because I like the heaviness of the lines I get with certain brushes for these. I like the colors, and I just felt it wasn't necessary for the style I was going for with those to do the whole sketch, print, ink, scan, color thing. So this I just did all digitally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's just the.
Oh yeah, and then
go ahead.
Yeah, if you can scroll down a little bit to that Godzilla 2019 that I have down there.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's one of my blacklight pieces. I'm always on a big blacklight kick, and that was a piece where I had this whole poster done, printed, loved how it looked out, and I came across UV reactive ink that is blue, but it dries like invisible, so it's clear when you're not seeing it lit up under light. But then once you have the black light there, it glows, so on and so forth. So I did like small runs of those posters where I have to print them out, make sure that the areas that I'm going to paint with UV ink are just like pure white. Then I'll take a little brush and go in between all the lines and do all that stuff, and I have a nice, blacklight effect.
Okay. And so that is awesome. So I definitely want to make sure at the end of the show, remind me, gentlemen, to make sure that I give you guys the chance to plug all social outlets and where you can purchase it. It's like whether it's Etsy or wherever. But let's talk some shows. You've all had the chance to be at some shows, and right now it just seems like we all want to get back to them, live shows in person. And I've gotten John's kind of thoughts on what's going on with G-Fest, but what are your guys' kind of thoughts on the idea of artists being able to sell their works at cons and being able to get recognized in the way that cons can do that, person to person?
That's a good question.
I think if the people and companies and corporations that do own the intellectual rights to these properties, if they don't care, then the conventions that have artist alleys shouldn't care either. That's the simplest way to put it.
It really is the simplest way to put it.
That's like honestly, if Toho cared about anything that we do, they would just shut the entire show down at that point.
If any company cared about artist alleys, no convention would have an artist alley.
Right.
So the big point is it's not on their radar.
No, it is, but it's just like, you're sitting at NORAD and you're watching the radar screen. It's like, oh, there's a flock of swallows going that way. It's on the radar, but it's not like a missile coming over the Pacific. Like, It's nothing. I'm glad I'm cracking you up, Joe. I'm glad my stupid jokes are getting some reaction out of you.
I like that metaphor.
That
Yeah,
was a good metaphor.
we are sparrows on NORAD's radar. That's what we are.
Well, it's like how I told Nick last time. It's like we're not walking out of there like Scrooge McDuck with like a giant vault of cash. I mean, we do well, but compared to what, like vendors make in those shows, where they're making 20, 30, sometimes 60 grand at these shows, like I don't know about you guys, but like I'm doing well, but not enough to pay a yearly salary like some of these guys are making. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean most of these shows, especially something like G-Fest, you go there and it's like, great, I can go see my friends, buy some vinyl junk that I love, and what I sell in Artist Alley like pays for the flight, the hotel, and like some extra perks. It's not like John said, it's not like we're going to retire on this stuff. It's
Right.
Yeah,
icing on the cake. Like we all have regular jobs. Well,
exactly. That's how I looked at it. I look at it like it's just it's like you make a little bit of money, but that money probably goes right back into your table, your flight, your hotel, your eating costs, and you're just you're spending money for the time you're there. If you make more than that, great, but I don't think you're making thousands more than that or hundreds of thousands more than that. That's for sure. Most people, the most expensive item at the table is $25.
yeah.
Maybe if they're a professional comic artist and they have pages that are hand drawn, maybe you could sell originals for a lot more money. As a digital artist, I have no originals, so I get cut out of that little segment. But as people that do paintings on canvas, they should be, if they want to part with their original, they have the right to do so. And as far as I know, you're allowed to still just sell originals. If people are actually eating those up, then you could do quite well. I've seen some artists sell a bunch of originals and probably make a ton of money, way more than I ever did. Like I said, because I can't sell originals, the most expensive thing I have is $20. So I'm not making giant chunks of money. But it does depress me that I can't just go and enjoy myself there, because I like to interact with the people that care about what we do, and that's important to me. Like just dealing with just developing that friendship with the fandom that cares about your art. And if you can't sell your art, then there's no point for you to be there. And then that kind of just destroys that whole element. And then you just feel an emptiness there.
Well, that's an important thing you brought up, is just meeting the faces of the people that either don't comment on your post but tell you that they love your work, or you meet the person that does comment that you never met, or you meet new people and then you get new followers. And it's like, you guys know, when you upload your work, it just goes out there and it's like, oh, I got 10 comments and but I got all these likes. But then you meet the people that like the post but didn't comment. You're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Like, you get all this positive feedback and it sort of charges you up to go back and do more. And
I feel like that is an aspect that you don't get in social media anymore these days. Yeah. Like, John, you've noticed that because you've commented on a couple of them, but like every one of those Ultraman sketch cards that I posted over the past week, at least one comment on each of them is somebody like, oh, post this over here. Like, it's not even somebody who cares about your art. It's somebody who like wants to claim it for an NFT or have you send it to somewhere else. Like, it's social media is becoming like less social at this point. And these face-to-face human interactions that you get at conventions are, what social media was meant to be, but is not becoming that anymore. If you catch what I'm saying, like, it's so impersonal now at this point. You have no idea who these people are. Could be bought.
There's a strange conspiracy theory that I learned about the other day called dead internet, where they claim that 95% of the internet, or people that you interact with on the internet that you don't personally know, are not real. They're bots. And you, like what you just described, like all these automatic bot-driven responses to new art that just say post it here.
Yeah,
it's like there's no human being behind that. That's just automated crap. And it's infuriating, because now I'll get your first 15 comments of that.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a little demoralizing, but at the same time, like, I don't remember that ever being so bad until the NFT thing started but that's just the sign of the times, I guess. But that really shouldn't. That it just makes the face to face at a show that much more valuable and important, because now you see in the actual human soul behind the person who cares about what you do, and it's the opposite of demoralizing. It actually invigorates your love for what you do and your love for people who love what you do, and the whole reason to do it. So shows are important, and especially shows that have a great vibe like G-Fest. Like, I genuinely love being there and meeting all of you guys annually. Getting to be in that space I look forward to it every year. So, but I'll be at Monsterpalooza this year. Lenny, you gonna be there?
Yes, I will be. Same
got my
spot.
table yesterday, so
Yeah, seeing dope this year.
We got to go to dinner.
Maybe I'll throw this
Definitely
kind of not a wrench in the works, but a kind of a question that I might have as one who's not selling any kind of art or anything. But when it comes down to, like, I think of what you might sell in Artist Alley, these prints that you might have. Is it would you say it significantly replaces something that might be licensed in either a dealer's room or something else that you might buy? Because what I'm thinking
absolutely not. Yeah.
No, I don't see it that way. If it were significantly replacing something else that's being sold, when I go into those dealers' room, I'm seeing the vinyl figures, like you said. It's not replacing home video releases. It's not replacing.
It's not even replacing like posters or lobby cards. Like, those are their own things. It's not even replacing stuff like, officially licensed Godzilla posters from Mondo. Like, that doesn't replace it either, because you look at those posters and each one is done by a different artist. Each one is done in a different style. And there might be artists in Artist Alley that are selling Godzilla posters for Godzilla versus Megalon. And in the dealer's room, there's a poster for Godzilla versus Megalon that's officially licensed from, Mondo by Toho, but they're different styles. So it's like, they're both pieces of paper with artwork printed on it of the same characters, but they look different. Does that make sense? It's all like artistic.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like going to it's gonna go out and like getting pizza or a hamburger, right? Like, you got like a million options to get the same hamburger, right? And it doesn't mean like one is gonna be like affecting the other. You're just trying a different hamburger. You're trying a different slice of pizza. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Your money is energy. It's going to go somewhere, whether it's your pocket or Mondo's pocket. It's going to go somewhere. Otherwise, it's just going to stay in someone's bank account and never go anywhere.
Yeah, but to your point, Nick, I don't think that anything in Artist Alley replaces anything official in the dealer's room or anywhere else. It's this artist's interpretation of a thing. If you like it, buy it. If you don't, buy something you do. So
exactly, I think of it that way when I'm going around and I've got the amount of money in my wallet that I'm going to be spending at the con, and it's like, I may be going home with this much in vinyl, but this much in some rare home video releases I might find, or posters or T-shirts. But then I've got my poster, like the Orashi, that I got. But I'll have it right next to Bellotti's 54 that I bought from him, because it's peppering my walls with art from different interpretations, different artists that I appreciate. So it just goes hand in hand with what I have, and it just makes the collection have that much more flavor to it, having something from someone who is in the Artist Alley and doing this because they love it, or someone who's doing it because they were paid to do it. But then on top of that, you've got, like, I know, John, you've had, I don't know if it's Chinese companies or whatever that basically took your stuff and then printed it on a mattress cover or what was that, a bedspread? Yeah.
No, it looked great too. I was like, I would totally rock this in my apartment. But yeah, to go down that route. And to sort of talk about licensed artwork, as all of us in here are aware of, license doesn't always mean good artwork, because there's stuff in Artist Alley, whether in G-Fest, and I can attest to the guys we're all talking to today. I'm confident that we can do pretty much what the name guys can do. I'm not saying we're better. I'm not saying we're worse, but I'm just saying that there's stuff in Artist Alley that's as good as whatever is licensed. So I just want to put that out there. license just means you got a job, right? What we do is pure passion and love and respect for what we all love, right? Like the genre and the films and the directors and the kaiju. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right with that, John. I mean, there's some of the stuff that I see that comes out from Toho, like officially licensed things. I'm like, really? You're putting that tired picture of the Cybot 85 Godzilla on your Godzilla Monopoly box? Like, really? What year is this? How long have we been doing this for?
Yeah. Or the
Like,
same,
I can only imagine how great a like fan-made version of Godzilla Monopoly would look, as opposed to like iStock photos of Godzilla movies in squares.
Or the Jenga. I remember I saw the Jenga, and it was literally like a vector traced Cybot illustration, and I'm like, oh my god, like you can come into G-Fest and just like throw $100 at like any of the guys in that artist alley, and they would have loved to have done that. Like, I don't know where they're finding these artists. It's absurd sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like,
and another point with fan art, like you're comparing, we got fan art and then we have like officially licensed stuff. You know what you'll never see as an officially licensed print? Godzilla versus Gamera. But you know what you can get in Artist Alley from some fan? Godzilla versus Gamera prints.
Right.
Or Godzilla versus, Chumbawamba. Like, it could be any. It doesn't matter. Somebody was talking about Tub Thumping yesterday, so that's still in my brain. But when you have fan stuff, like, sky's the limit. You could do all these crossovers you want to do. You can have, Godzilla running amok in the Star Wars universe, and we didn't have to deal with Disney for this. Like,
right.
I don't know, and it doesn't affect anybody. Like, I really don't.
I look what Bill Couture did for his Godzilla vs. Kong. I still can't get over how much better that story was than what they put in the movies, where Kong has skull crawlers and chains as like his dogs of war, and there's cult tribes worshiping the monsters. I'm like, it's so bad. I was gonna curse, but bat crap crazy that. It's like I have to. He did Kong with the shotgun that we all jumped on, and it was totally nuts.
And that was so fun.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That was just like a community getting behind an idea and just having fun with it. And I think that's some of the most beautiful stuff you can get in Artist Alley is when you get that true passion from fans. We're just like, oh, I don't have a bunch of suits looking over my shoulder, making sure that every brushstroke is in line with their playbook. It's just, no, I did this because I thought this was a good idea and people might take to it. And you're right, John, like Bill is an excellent example of that, because that guy, even the stuff he's doing now with his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ideas, like it's crazy. I don't know what alien ghost he's, talking to that's giving him these brilliant ideas, but.
Well, I'll say this. I'm doing a collaboration with him for this graphic novel called Tales to Enlighten. I did a pinup for them, and he did an 8-page story for the first volume. And
I remember that.
And they said, we want you and Bill to do something together. And I'm like, I can't. So me and Bill got on the phone, and we said, Bill's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, what about Dinosaurs Attacks? And he had no idea what that was. And I told him what. Yeah, he had no idea. I'm like, Bill, you have to. So that like lit his fuse.
That's
so now we're doing this. Oh my God! So now we're doing this collaboration where we're doing 4 pages of a comic, and he'll start it, and I'm like, okay, and then I add to it. I'm like, I'm out of ideas. I send it to Bill. He comes back with stuff that I'm like, I wouldn't even thought to have like monsters with nipple lasers. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then I'll send it back to him, and he's like, oh my God, I didn't think of that. And it's been an absolute pleasure to do something like this, where we're just sort of starting and finishing each other's piece. And like he's just so inspiring to just watch his process, because he scribbled notes. He's like, put a big crater with dead bodies here. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's do it. Entrails all over them. And it just goes to what I said, that he's like the Jack Kirby of kaiju artists, where he just like, he needs to be locked in the room with like a window facing power lines or something. And he just draws all day. And they go, Bill, what do you have for us? We got to make a new franchise. And then Bill just has like all these comics that he drew for like the last 10 hours. He probably's got a big beard too when he comes out of the office.
Yeah, he'll look like Alan Moore.
Has he ever had a beard?
No, I don't think so.
No, somebody something you mentioned there, John. I love collabs. I love collabs with, or crossovers, I should say, because Nick, you mentioned kind of the crossovers of IP. Godzilla and Gamera together, Godzilla and what Star Wars universe, whatever. And then, John, you just said there's a crossover between two artists that just love what they do, and that's what I love to see is when these kinds of things happen. It's at these cons. It's a lot of these interactions that you're going to get, these connections that you make, that brings that great art together, and it just makes the fans love it even more, is what I say. So, gosh, even the licensed stuff is not opposed to crossovers. I mean, Godzilla fought Charles Barkley in a commercial. I mean, it's like
and a comic,
and a commercial, yeah. And some T-shirts and whatever else they had. But, it's like the fans love that kind of stuff. May as well go ahead and let these artists speculate, because that's why we ended up with things like crossovers, these great crossovers of Marvel and whatever else that are happening out there, and the fans are just eating that stuff up. But I guess what may be the solution or compromise to something like this, getting all parties involved and saying, give a little, take a little, what can be said or what can be maybe done to make this maybe beneficial for everyone.
Not make that contract that they sent out, basically.
Yeah,
just
I'm with you.
Throw it out.
Leave us the hell alone, maybe.
Yeah, they're doing all this stuff that doesn't need to be done.
Let it be like every other show.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's all these threats of like, oh, Toho's coming by the show to no, they're not. They never have. Like,
yeah, it wasn't them. It was the guy from X Plus that came through. It wasn't even Toho. It was totally different.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's just this like deep rooted paranoia that's left over from G-Con in 1992, where somebody got in trouble for selling bootleg model kits while Yuji Sakai was there, and like that has never left the brains of the people controlling that show, and now they think Artist Alley is that next issue, which it's not.
Right.
Like, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that there are other shows out there who have talked to either Toho or reps at Toho, and it's just no one cares. It's like John said, we're not Scrooge McDuck out of this show. It's just
we're not swimming through dollars, hundreds of dollars when
we're having our fun. We're spreading their IP in a wider range. We're increasing the fan base. Like, it's just nothing. There really isn't anything to do other than stop being paranoid. Nothing bad's going to happen. Right. Everything's okay. But if DC and Marvel haven't gone after anything at Comic-Con, Toho's not going to come after your little convention in Rosemont, Illinois.
Right. They don't care. And Lenny, you have done what, like 1,500 shows in the last 3 months? So you signed a lot of contracts. Lenny is like, he's the road warrior. He's
slightly exaggerating, but it's close.
It's only 1,400.
Yeah, he's Lensation's Fury Road. He's like all over.
Lensation's Fury Road. Oh my god.
Yeah, you should make that. That should be our collaboration. Me and you should collab on that print. But and Lenny, me, you, and Nick and Dopepope have all done shows together. We all signed the same contracts, right? So Anime NYC, Comic-Con, Awesome Con, MegaCon, they all have the same language, saying like you're not allowed to sell this stuff, and if you do, it's all on you. That's all G-Fest has to say is like, or they could pull us aside because we're a tight-knit, family-like community that they like to say and say, look, guys, this is just legalese. We're not going to enforce it, blah, blah, blah. Or you know what I mean? Like anyway, all the contracts say the same thing, and nothing is ever enforced unless it's like Bruce Lee's family will take stuff down. Like, I know his daughter's like a vicious tyrant. I mean, she has to be. It's her father. And I know like the Harry Potter stuff. Like I've heard plenty of stories of
Harryhausen.
Yeah, Harryhausen's another one. But
I was telling Nick about my situation.
Nick knows that.
Yeah,
Shit knows that.
Yeah. But Lenny, again, right? Like you can attest that every contract sort of says the same thing, and no one has ever bothered you, right? At any show.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't even read the contract. I just sign my name and send it in. It's the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the
There's
same.
no one bothered.
repetition every time. It's easy.
It's like their rule. It's like the thing you have to click I accept before you could use the app. Like
Yep.
you can't go and make your little tiny little sum of money until you sign that paper.
Right.
And we get it. Like, these cons are not gonna flat out tell us, oh, you can't sell this and that at the convention. They just want to cover their own asses. They want to show us that, like, hey, if shit happens, it's on you. We already told you you can't bring it here. You know, you shouldn't be making stuff. But, you know, the one convention that wants to take it in their hands and say, like, oh, we shouldn't, you know, get it. We shouldn't have fan art here. You know, one that should not be named G-Fest. It's frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if it came down to a case, let's say worst case scenario, some representative shows up. Okay, you got to fear that's going to happen. The very unlikely case that's going to happen. And what are they going to do? Okay, let me bring you down here and let's meet a couple of these guys. Let's talk to them. Let's see what exactly it is they're doing and see if this is actually some road you want to go down. Is this the hill you want to die on? Because all it's going to do is hurt your IP because you just made more fans upset at you for something you're not even, you know, that is not even on your radar, like you said, or it's not even really a blip on your radar for this matter. Is that, you know, a fair assessment to say, let's say someone does show up, some rep, some whatever from Toho or wherever shows up and starts wanting to cause some trouble? Can we bring them down here and talk to them and say, I guess worst case scenarios, you just take it down. Like Nick, you said at that con with the Harryhausen, the worst thing that happened was
they said, nope, you can't sell this here because it's not like officially approved or whatever. And it's just, you know what? That's in their right.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
Right.
I wish I had known about that. I mean, this was like towards the beginning of, you know, his daughter forming the Harryhausen Foundation, and how they treat it like it's the Ark of the Covenant and blah, blah, blah. But that's neither here nor there. But it is in their right. If Toho did show up at G-Fest and said, you can't be doing this, all right, sorry, I'll pack up. Like, nothing you
go
can
enjoy
do.
the show. Like, just go enjoy the show and hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would do at this point, because I've been doing it long enough now, I would say, look, I'll take it down. But look at the amount of people in this room right now buying this stuff from me, from Lenny, from Nick. People like our work. Like, give us a freaking opportunity to do something instead of going to the same well or finding these artists that don't even know anything about the subject matter. I'm not saying you have to be all in on what you're illustrating, because that's not always the case, obviously. But just like look around, Toho. Like, look at the line at all these tables. Like look at the prints we're moving. Like, something's going on here, and you guys, like, it's like in the 80s and 90s, because I was almost going to be a musician when I was in my early 20s, so I was really into the music scene. And I remember talking to a guy from Roadrunner Records, which is a big heavy metal label in the city, and I said, oh, my friend's got a band. How do I get them your work, or their stuff? And he goes, if they're big enough, we'll go find them. And that's how they discovered bands in the 80s, too. They made a big enough noise that they went and signed Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. They were selling out. Like, just look at what we're doing, what everyone is doing, man. Just, you know, like, there's a market for it, and people want to see different things out there. They want to see Nick's work. They want to see anything.
That is a good point. I mean, if you think about it, like, if Toho actually, or whatever rep who's in control of this, would look at some of the artists that do go to Artist Alley, they could, you know, straight up just commission us to do these things. And they would be certain not to get a Monster Zero poster that didn't have the 1993 Rodin on it. Like,
or the Destroy All Monsters that had literally like tracings of the X Plus promotional photos on the poster, you know, like it was odd. And then and I think the guy even copied a Jeff Zorno Baragon too. And I love the artist, but I was like, what's going on here? Like, come on, man.
But to go back to like how the companies come, like what everyone needs to know is these companies aren't even thinking of us half the time. They are not thinking about fan artists. They're not thinking of coming to bust us or anything. We are literally the last on the list of things for them to copyright, come and take us out. So we keep mentioning Toho, and I see a lot of people out there talking about Toho when it comes to G-Fest, but they have no face in the game at all. They're not even looking at G-Fest. They don't want to attend G-Fest. They don't know G-Fest. So
Yeah.
and I keep saying this, like any company, the fan artists are the last on the list. The ones who are at the top of the list, bootlegs, anyone selling merchandise, T-shirts online,
Yeah.
building up online stores. Those are the people that they're going after. They don't
Right.
want to come touch us. They want to just leave us alone. They don't want to make a licensee deal with us because we don't make enough to pay them the amount they want.
Right.
We're not the concern.
I think what you said was important because I've been told before Toho does not have the connection directly with the fans, and it's nothing personal. It's just how they do business.
Yes, exactly.
Just they have this gap, this barrier between themselves and the fans. That's why you're not going to see necessarily maybe a fan writing their next movie, their next Godzilla movie, or a fan
Exactly.
starring in their next movie necessarily, because it's their property and they produce it the way they want to produce it. So it comes down to the sake of that gap between them and the fans is, again, just it's there. So that gap between them and the cons is there, and so why would they even bother to use that kind of time to do some sort of kind of like clean sweep like the fear would be. It's such an unlikely scenario. Yeah.
There's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance that Toho ever shows up to G-Fest.
Right.
Seriously, we will never see them.
But it's again what you're saying, Lenny. Like, yeah, it's not just Toho. Like Marvel, DC, Sony.
It's all the
Disney.
Companies.
They're not gonna. There really isn't there's not really a big connection between them and the fans. Everyone likes to. Granted, Toho has their ways. They're a Japanese company. They do things differently, but it's not just them. It's like every company. There's not like a great connection between.
Let me tell you this though. Like the only time I ever see companies come in to a con and show and have them tell us anything about our fan artwork. Usually is if we let me give an example. The exhibitor hall, Artist Alley. Artist Alley, we're allowed to sell whatever we want, whatever character, whatnot, whatever fan art. Exhibitor hall, though, companies like Funimation will come in and they will tell artists who are in the exhibit hall to take their art down if it's any of their copyrighted characters. But as long as we're in the Artist Alley, they won't say anything. That's things that happen. Every year at Anime Expo, go through every of the exhibitors who have like any of their copyrighted characters and they'll ask them to take it down. There's like cease and desist being passed out, but there's no like ban hammer like, oh, you got to leave the show. Just take down the character and whatnot. Or be an artist alley like where I'm at and we'll never get said anything to. My neighbor had someone from Funimation come talk to her for work in the artist alley. She wasn't asked to get shit taken down.
Right.
So there's just a place to do it. Yeah.
But what is that issue? Like, why is there such a difference between having fan art being sold in the exhibitor's alley, hand right there, and then an artist alley? Why is it like bad to be here but good to be there? Is it like exhibitor's alley is supposed to be like the official section of the convention and artist alley is like the wild
In a
west?
sense, yes. Like, not. I don't want to break it down like that because it sounds very simple and just kind of easy. But it's more that, hey, the exhibitor halls and for the merchandise, they seem to sell a lot more. For Anime Expo specifically, they're on the top floor. We're in the garage, the bottom floor. Don't worry, we still have thousands of attendees going down there. But the exhibitor hall is where all the merchandise is being sold. It's where all the big money is being made. You just don't want
official and unofficial stuff like mixed?
I'm guessing. But at the same time, it gives the artist alley their place. You know, their location. You know, that's where you sell the fan art at. And that's where the companies are like, okay, that's fine. It sounds really simple and kind of a headache. Like, why couldn't you do it? Like you're saying, like, why couldn't you do it up there if you're doing it down here? But it's like we have our place where to do that.
Yeah,
our
well, that's
locations.
interesting now
Yeah.
because G-Fest has combined Artist Alley into the exhibitor hall, so
Yeah,
that's kind of
but
putting
but
us right in the crosshairs.
but again, with all that said, Toho is never visiting G-Fest.
That's
Take
true.
it from me, trust me, just listen to me. I hope organizers from G-Fest are listening to this. Let's send this to them. Hear me out. Look at me. They're not coming. They're not going to tell you anything. They're not saying anything about your bootlegs. They're not saying anything about your scuffed up toys that you're reselling, which is actually not legal. And I mean,
sick.
GFan in itself is its own like territory. Like they're not supposed to be doing, but they're still doing, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Toho doesn't. Toho. It's not that they don't care. Like they do care about the fans. It's just that we're making a big deal of something that's not. At this point,
so
it's going to become
right.
such a headache. Yeah, at this point, it's going to become such a headache for Toho. They might start looking for us. They might start having to create licenses, and we're going to have to start paying because they made it a headache for them. And it's like, okay, now we have to figure out. Now they have to figure out a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is what we were talking about back in November, where it's like, great, you just let loose a herd of stampeding buffalo towards, a mutual friend who I won't name because everybody will email the damn guy on Facebook as just bombarding this guy who works at Toho, and he's a cool dude, but he is not equipped. Because I've approached him about stuff like licensing posters. He's like, we don't even know how to do that. Like
We don't have. Yeah, they don't have like they don't have a group for that. They don't have like a classification for what to do for us.
Yeah. They have bigger fish to fry, and it's understandable, and they want to get their stuff out to a wide audience as possible. And it's like me selling, I was trying to sell my posters to a guy in New Zealand for like a bunch of stores and then whatever, but he didn't even know what to tell me. So now you're, like you said, it's like, let sleeping dogs lie, because now everyone's going to be like, hey, this show isn't letting us sell our unlicensed work. And they're like, okay. After a while, they're going to start like paying attention to that, and it's going to be bad. And I mean, we could talk about the elephant in the room here. Like I've said many times why I think this is happening. And if we want to talk about it, we can. If we don't, it's understandable.
That's definitely, I know you want to.
I always want to talk about it. But I'm very diplomatic about it.
Before you talk about it, I just want to say out there, especially to you, Adam, you guys have already heard me say it. Like John said, my career is going to conventions and traveling the U.S. I was at 18 different shows the last half of 2021. And whatever, I've been selling at shows since 2015. I have not had a headache for other shows like I do for G-Fest.
Right.
G-Fest it's so necessary for as small as a show as it is.
Yeah.
It is a pain in the ass to deal with. And at this point, like John suggests to other people, like the only reason I still go to G-Fest is to see those guys, and all my friends. I am not there to make a profit or anything, but they're literally they almost don't even want us to go to G-Fest at this point. There's so many things that could be said.
John, I got to hear what you're saying.
Stop being a headache. Yeah.
What was that elephant in the room for you, John?
Well, it started in 2020, right? With a certain Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
A certain convention that we're sort of referencing
Please
here.
go through the whole story.
No.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's and for people that don't know, but it's comments were made on the G-Fest Twitter page that was sort of insensitive towards COVID and coronavirus and sort of downplaying it. When me and Dopepope witnessed, not firsthand, but we witnessed like 800 plus people a day dying in New York City with literally freezer trucks outside of funeral parlors because they had nobody. They were digging mass graves. I mean, it was crazy over here. Sirens. One day I just heard sirens from morning, noon to night. And here comes these tweets saying, just wash your hands. It's like the flu. And it's like, oh my God. So people jumped all over the Twitter page, like saying really really negative things about the show and the person that runs it. And months later, there was a G fan article sort of referencing woke culture and the use of blackface in King Kong versus Godzilla. And the article was insinuating in a way that they were defending the use of blackface and waiting for woke cancel culture to come after it. Now, if you know anything about artists, now if you know anything about, especially Artist Alley, myself not included, but there are a lot of young artists, and they tend to be very liberal, very open, very democratic, and they're all on social media like a lot of young people. And they saw all these tweets, and the pitchforks and the torches came out. And a lot of nasty things were said about G-Fest and G-Fan and the people running the show. And Nick is smirking because he knows a lot of the comments, that myself included. You know, they were nice enough to put on a nice gallery show for me. I did really well with it. That got thrown into my face when someone's wife came into our Facebook group and attacked all of us. And it wasn't a coincidence that the wife came in and attacked us, and we were going back and forth with her. And then 6 months later or 9 months later, we get a contract stating that we can't sell unlicensed Godzilla art. And this person also had us take down the name G-Fest Artist Alley to just Artist Alley because they didn't want to be associated with us and the negative things we were saying.
Yeah, in a private Facebook group.
This
wasn't a public
private
group.
Facebook group that no one could come into but the artist.
Yeah. Right. So if she was asking G-Fest to take down the name G-Fest from a private group, I think the writing was sort of on the wall, and it got quiet after that. And all of a sudden this contract came out, and it's like, well, guys, I mean, I know he's telling people one thing, but in reality, the artists kind of know the real answer to that, which is why I wanted more people to really know what was going on. Now, were things said that were probably out of hand? Yeah, I could say that things were said, and I personally didn't use, I can't remember what I said, but I know I definitely had a few choice words about it. I'm like, yo, my brother got COVID. He almost died. He worked in a nursing home. He said it was like Thanos snapping his fingers from one day to the next, and half of the old people were dead. Like, stop talking now. Like, please stop talking. And so I was heated, and rightfully so. And things got heated, and then all of a sudden,
or especially when they do a Twitter post saying like, "Oh yeah, the DNC, due to a global pandemic, has canceled this convention, so there's going to be more rooms available at the hotel for G-Fest. So start booking now." Like, who does that? And aside from that stuff, I'm just sitting here thinking about G-Fest. Where does G-Fest come from? G-Fest comes from G-Fan, which is not an official publication. And it really seems quite hypocritical for them to say, you can't sell your fan art at our convention, but we can continue to sell this newsprint rag of a fan magazine with unofficially licensed art, photos, and articles, and have a yearly subscription, that we collect profits from people. It seems really hypocritical. And I think at the end of the day, maybe all this paranoia stems from them thinking like, oh, if Toe's going to come after that, they're going to come after our precious little magazine that lines so many bird cages throughout this country. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe there's a bit of guilt to them. Maybe they know that what they're doing with their magazine isn't right. And then if there's more things like that associated with them, it might bring some heat down on them. So,
I
don't know. It's a big mess.
Like Lenny said, and I know Joe, we've done the same shows. Me and Joe do New York Comic Con. 250,000 plus attendees, not last year, but typically. I've only done it 2 years. Joe has done it longer than me, so he has more experience with it. I mean, never had an issue, ever had an issue. If anything, I've made so many new contacts and connections from that show. People praising us and Anime NYC. People would come up to me and I'd say, hey, go see my buddy Joe over there, because Joe was an eye shot. And I said, go see Lenny. And we were sending people to each other's tables, and it was great, man. It was a beautiful community thing, and that's what I suggested to a lot of these young artists that were freaking out, that we all know, mutual artist associates of ours. And I said, guys, this is normal language and contracts. I understand it's terrible, but go do another show. Go start a new community someplace else. Kaiju Days, like, you know, they're doing some cool stuff out in Illinois. Go join them. I would go join them. You know, if I could swing it, I might do it one day. They're open to it.
What is that exactly? Is that a convention or is it a vendor table?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. The guys that run Otaku America, guy Anthony, really nice guy. He does it. He like rents out a room, like an event room, in like a minute. He started in like a mini golf like back room or something, and then he rented like it was like a senior care facility, had this whole like space, and he rented it out. And then they just sort of jump into other conventions and have their own little section, like a kaiju section, which is really cool. And everything they do, man, like they have graphic designers. Matt Reedy is involved with them. He does a lot of great kaiju graphic design stuff. So he's designing like all of their flyers. Right off the bat, it looks better than anything G-Fest has ever done when they like do Sharpie and they run out of space with the letters and then they squeeze in the rest of the letters in like an 8x10 note that they tape to the wall. You know, it just looks like a flea market on fire. But what these kaiju guys are doing, it looks really sharp, man. It looks professional. And they do a really beautiful job of advertising and selling it. And I'm like, I told him, like, I'd love to do your show. And he's like, yeah, like, we'd love to have you. And I guarantee if any of you guys said you were interested, they would roll out the red carpet for you. And that's something that I'm considering. Same thing where you guys do Monsterpalooza, right? You have a whole community of guys there, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great show.
Or Godzilla night. You guys do Godzilla night with the Balboa Theater. I mean, that's like another thing to do.
Yeah, that's another one that's like slowly starting to come up. Like we're really starting to get our stuff together with that show. And
Right.
Yeah. And just
I have a question for everybody here. Is everyone going to this year's G-Fest or is everyone not going?
No, I'm not going.
Right now, I think it's only me and Nick. I don't think Larry's
Nick, you're going. And Nick Adam, do you attend the show as a spectator?
I used to. This year, honestly, it's because I was mentioning before the stream. It was a case of, and I was even part of panels and things in the past. But I just haven't been the last couple of years. Obviously, the last 2 years, no, it's not going to happen. But it's just not really been exciting anymore. It's been a lot of what you're talking about, the politics, and it's just not become fun anymore. And then on top of that, I was mentioning before the show, however you feel about the mandates and vaccinations and masks, I feel like they're this year's data that they're running off of for the restrictions is old data. Things about the masking, things about the vaccines, how you can still transmit it. And I'm probably waiting for YouTube to throw me off already talking about this. But the fact is that, the data is showing that those cloth masks aren't as effective as we thought. So are we going to mandate N95 masks because maybe they're going to work better? I'm sure that's not going to happen. Are we going to mandate everyone vaccinate even though it doesn't matter? You can still transmit the virus, vaccination or regardless. So it's a point of just, it doesn't seem fun anymore for me. So more of a headache than it's worth. There's other cons. Like you guys said, there's always another con.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, as much smack as we're talking here, like I'm going because I didn't go to 2019 because I got scared with their 33% deal and everything. And I regret not going to that show because everybody who went had a great show, made great profits. And I'm not expecting that with this one, but I want to see the new venue. I want to see what's going on. I don't know. Maybe some
not
sort of
going.
thing can be resolved in person instead of online and on social media because, you put somebody behind a keyboard and they feel invincible. But when you sit down with them, the person, they act more like an individual. So maybe things will be different. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I just want to go and see what's what. That and
I kind of want to do that too, but I don't want to spend all the money on the airfare and the hotel just to get there.
Hey Joe,
tell me to beat it. So
yeah, you could drive over there. I got to fly from the West Coast. You could drive to Chicago, Joe. So.
Yeah, I guess. But
take some of that X Plus money and buy yourself a first class ticket.
I'll sit this one out, and then maybe next year, if you guys come back with a good story, maybe I'll return.
Let's see how
At this
this
point,
goes.
I'm ready to explore other shows and
Well, I will preface this that I'm not going because it's my wife's. It's a milestone birthday for my wife, and I've missed G Fest. I've missed her birthdays in the past for G Fest because it's the same weekend. And Nick and these guys will know, like, we're out hanging out on the patio. I'm like, guys, I got to go make a phone call. And I'm talking to my wife, wishing her happy birthday. It sucks. But she knew how important the show was for me and seeing my friends and meeting people. But this year I can't. I don't want to miss this birthday. And I'll see what these guys say. And maybe I'll come back. Or maybe this is just – maybe G-Fest is just the drunk friend that I've had that I've dealt with because he's so cool. But he just drinks all the time and is belligerent. And maybe I just need to not hang out with this drunken friend anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's what the show is at this point.
Real quick, I want to wrap things up because we are actually overtime, but that's fine. You guys were on fire with what you were saying, and I wanted to give you that chance to get it out there. I really appreciate that and the honesty, but also the diplomatic way you laid it out, and I appreciate that too, without being subjective name calling, I guess, because you could always get into that. Right?
We're trying to be rational here.
Yes.
In an irrational world.
Yeah, if there is such a thing anymore. So with that, let's start wrapping things up. I want to give you guys the chance to plug away where you can, where everyone can find your work, because I want people to support fan art. I want people to support what you guys do, and obviously follow you guys on your social networks. So let's just go around with starting with Nick. Where can they find you and follow you?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram. You can find me as Art of Shev, and in my Instagram there'll be links for my Big Cartel shop, which is nickshev.bigcartel.com, and also my TeePublic site. But Instagram is like the best thing to see all of my stuff, what I'm working on, kaiju stuff, non-kaiju stuff. There's a bunch of things in there, so that's your best bet.
Excellent. John.
Well, we could go to my website that hasn't been updated since 2020 because I'm terrible, but www.robo7, that's the number 7.com, and it has links to my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, and my online Etsy shop where you can buy prints and pins and stuff like that. Instagram is probably the best place, like Nick said, to see all my current stuff and all my work in progress stuff that I won't post anyplace else. And it's probably like the best place to really interact with me if you're a fan of what I do, or you just want to tell me how much you love Final Wars. I don't know. I don't care, but that's the best spot to reach me. So.
But now,
at Robo7 at Instagram, it's spelled out SEVEN, or is
yes, yeah, because some soulless person took the actual Robo and a number 7 for their page. So I had to do Robo and then the word 7 spelled out. So that's my handle.
Gotcha. Dopepope.
Hey, I have quite a few things on the horizon for this year. Very excited to talk about, but I can't really talk about any of them yet. At least two huge toy projects that are coming out, completely different from each other, but both very, very high profile. Very excited. Been busting my ass on this stuff. Hollywood movie that's coming out this year that I worked on. Can't wait to see that.
What?
I'll be at Monsterpalooza in June. I think that'll be my first show this year. After that, probably Comic-Con again and Anime Expo, and maybe Southern Monsterpalooza. If they have that, I'll come back. And then you can just find my social media wherever you see this handsome face. Let's see, wherever you see the Cyclops, you know it's me. So just Dopepope everywhere. DeviantArt, ArtStation, Instagram, Twitter, Sketchfab. You name it.
And when you do
I'm not on Facebook though. That's the one thing I don't like to be.
But when you do get the chance to talk about those things, can we have you back?
Oh please, yeah, it'd be my pleasure. Please,
absolutely. Yeah, reach out to me.
Shut me up about it.
Yeah, we want to get that out there. Maybe you can give me the exclusive. Not give me physically anything. Just give me the exclusive news on it. That's all I really want. I don't want you to.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I can't even say the things I want to say right now. So
okay, it's getting the fandom exciting. So, and Lensations, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Etsy, all under Lensations. That name right there under my face. You can find me there. DeviantArt. I don't really pay attention to a lot of them. Instagram might be my best place if you want to communicate with me. And then they can all find me at a ton of shows this year. I should be signing up for a good fat chunk of them. I know WonderCon is first up in March, so can't wait for that one.
All right, excellent. So definitely follow these guys, support what they do, and just check out what they've got going, because it's just things are happening all the time, and I just love seeing more content, because there's only so much content the officially licensed stuff can put out, but what you guys are doing is keeping that fresh and keeping it out there for us and keeping the fandom excited about it. It's not like we don't have yet a television series. There's one coming out soon, I guess, the monsterverse, whatever they're going to do on Apple TV, but we until that point happens, we've got artists continuing to produce content for us. So that's why I wanted to have you guys on, and hopefully this will be the start of something that I can continue on, as speaking with fan arts and getting their thoughts, fan artists and getting their thoughts, talking about how they put their art together and distribute it. I think this is a great conversation, and I just want to thank you guys all for your time. You've been very generous.
No, well, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we will catch you guys here in the future here. And thank you all out there on YouTube and Facebook for watching our live stream today, and keep following the Monster Report on both on that Facebook and YouTube, and of course Twitter as well. And we will catch you next time on the Monster Report. Thank you, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.